Toy Story was an interesting movie. It's better than the original in most ways in my opinion. It was also almost never a theatrical release or even released at all. Disney wanted to capitalize on sequels, and it was originally intended to be direct-to-video, much like the sequels of the Renaissance like The Little Mermaid. However, in production, Disney and Pixar recognized its quality and decided to move it to a theatrical release. Also, around a year before the release, the entire movie was pretty much deleted after a delete all command was entered into a master computer and erased about 90% of their work. Luckily, an animator named Galen Sussman saved it, as she had a copy on her home PC that was then transported to Pixar Studio in moving blankets while going under the speed limit. Not only that, a few weeks later they scrapped the movie entirely pretty much because it was not up to their standards as a studio, and they didn't want to have a loss after having 2 hits in a row with Toy Story and A Bug's Life. With all of that, it's pretty amazing. It's really good, and I'd go as far to say as it's the best movie in the saga. Before I go on, let's recap. Since most of the voice cast is the same, I'm going to add on the new cast instead of going over all the ones everyone knows already. So this movie stars Joan Cusack as Jessie, Kelsey Grammer as Stinky Pete, Estelle Harris as Mrs. Potato Head, Wayne Knight as Al, and I also forgot to mention that R. Lee Ermey stars as Sarge as well as in the first one. He doesn't have that big of a part. However, I always like when I see him in something other than like Full Metal Jacket. That's what everyone remembers it from. As Andy prepares to go to cowboy camp, he takes one last opportunity to play with Woody and the toys. While he is playing with him, however, he rips Woody's arm and has to leave him while he goes away to cowboy camp. Woody has a nightmare where Andy does not want him because he's broken, and Woody meets other broken toys like Wheezy. After his mom returns, she gathers old toys for a yard sale. The mom accidentally grabs Wheezy in the process, and Woody goes on a rescue mission to save him. After saving him, Al, one of the antagonists, finds Woody and attempts to buy him. The mom recognizes Woody and denies him. However, Al steals Woody and gets away with him. Buzz and the toys witness this and begin a journey to Al's toy barn after figuring out who the man was. Woody wakes up in Al's apartment and then meets Jessie, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete. They introduce Woody to what he was, and it's actually like he was a really big deal. I mean, like he was on a goddamn yo-yo. Like that's the height of fame, isn't it? We are also introduced to the idea of them going into a museum in Japan, which Woody at first does not like the idea of, which puts Jessie in a lot of distress. We pick up with Buzz and company as they make their way to Al's toy barn. They cross the street and cause a ton of property damage, make it to the front of the toy barn. They go in, find Rex's book to defeat Zurg, go searching for Woody in the store. Buzz finds himself in a Buzz Lightyear aisle and finds one with a pretty nice utility belt. He goes to touch it, but the other Buzz wakes up and threatens him. This Buzz is now going to be referred as Other Buzz, by the way. Other Buzz kicks our Buzz's ass and traps him in a Buzz Lightyear box. Rex, Potato, Pig, and Slinky stumble upon a Barbie section and get escorted in a car by tour guard Barbie. Rex causes a crash and they eventually see Al leaving to his apartment across the street from the toy barn and go with Other Buzz to the apartment. Buzz escapes and makes his way across the street to the apartment, in the process freeing Zurg from the package. We cut back to Woody as his arm completely falls off after also getting his ass kicked by Jessie because he doesn't want to go to Japan with them because he wants to go back to Andy, and he tries to get his arm back from Al's pocket. While doing this, the TV randomly turns on and he finds a remote in front of Jessie's cabinet, so he believes she did it. Honestly, we stand Woody getting his ass beaten in this franchise because that's all he ever gets. In the morning, we see the absolute best montage in any Pixar movie. Fight me if you don't agree. It's just so perfect and amazing. Just like really like nice. It's really nice. Also, the old man's from the Pixar short Jerry's Game, which is that one with the chess game. After, we get a one-on-one between Jessie and Woody, where we see that Jessie was actually owned prior and her kid eventually grew up, outgrowing her, and eventually donating her prior to us seeing her here with Woody and the gang. Woody then is about to leave, but changes his mind after Stinky Pete tells him that the same fate awaits him if he stays with Andy, and decides to stay with the group. Catch back up with other Buzz in the gang, getting into the apartment building and climbing up the elevator to Woody with our Buzz closely in tow. After using Rex's head, they successfully get into Al's apartment. They meet up with Woody, and our Buzz catches up and tells Woody that they're there to save him. Woody expresses to him that he wants to stay, and we get a great callback to the first film, where Buzz screams that,
"Woody, you're not a collector's item. You're a child's plaything. You are a toy!"
Buzz and them leave, and Woody reconsiders and asks Jesse and the gang to join him instead of going to the museum. Here we get the reveal that absolutely blew my mind as a 5-year-old. Stinky Pete's actually the villain, and he's the one who messed with the remote. He forces them all back into their boxes, and they go on their way to the airport to Japan to be sold to the museum. The gang gives chase before finding Zurg, and we find out that Zurg is actually Buzz's father, but then Rex kills Zurg. After we find other Buzz outside with that Zurg who just fell off a cliff, playing catch with him. Also, the toys can drive stick in this universe, I guess, and the cult members from the first one are back. They cause some more property damage, get to the airport, and to find Woody. They go and try to find him in the baggage transit area, where Buzz and Slinky separate from the rest of the group to cover more ground. The rest of the toys find camera gear, and Buzz gets smacked. Woody gets his arm ripped once again, and they distract Stinky Pete with the camera equipment and trap him inside of a girl's backpack. Truly the worst consequence for being evil. After they get Bullseye out and try to get Jessie, but she gets stuck and is eventually put on the plane. Woody gets there with her, and they eventually jump off of that plane to safety with Buzz and Bullseye. They even find themselves at Andy's home afterwards, and are played with and loved by Andy once again. Andy also fixes Woody at the very end and like gives him like a sweet bicep, I guess, which is pretty cool. And yeah, that's the story. So let's start with the animation, because this is honestly the biggest jump. Some humans still look kind of odd. However, Al being stylized like he is actually still pretty looks good. That made no sense, but pretty good. A lot of the run cycles and minor animations look pretty damn fluid and smooth now. There's still some janky stuff here and there, but you can honestly tell Pixar learned a damn lot with their first 2 films. They worked and made everything just flow consistently well, and just cleaned all of the animations up really nice. Lighting is totally changed. It looks great. It really does hold up today. I know like the way that Toy Story 4 and Soul look now like are honestly like their best work, but back then they knew what they were doing. Like it still looks great today. Also, Randy Newman back with his best work yet. Soundtrack's great, and it's where one of my favorite songs come from, and honestly it's like most of the songs that we hear in like Toy Story ads and like at the parks and stuff now. It's this music from this movie. When She Loved Me is like no less of a masterpiece than anything. Like, in my opinion, it's better than You Got a Friend in Me. And it's like great, especially because they didn't let Randy Newman sing it. It was originally planned for him to sing it, but Randy Newman was like, I don't think my voice is right for this song, which is a pretty damn good call. You know, I love his voice, but Sarah McLachlan, just perfect for this song. Perfect. It's just great. It's honestly some of Randy Newman's best work across the entire soundtrack. The story and humor is completely on point. This was supposed to be like a direct-to-video sequel, but it doesn't show it in any sort of way at all. Pixar wanted to create a damn good movie, a damn good story, and they delivered it all. Juxtaposing the idea of Woody now being the big and popular toy, more so than he thought when he was before, compared to Buzz's arc in the first movie. The fear of being forgotten is also capitalized on after Woody rips his arm, and in the end, we see that Andy fixes Woody, which shows that he actually really cares about Woody, even with his nightmare that he was gonna throw him out into like a pile of thing toys from the movie. Buzz telling Woody that his purpose is to be a toy, the insult that Woody uses in the first movie of him being just a child's plaything, is just used to make Woody also remember like what he is and why he cares about being a toy and like why he loves Andy. I also really like Stinky Pete as a villain. And for me, it was one of those twist villains that worked because there wasn't any indication really that he would be a villain, which is also kind of bad for twist villains. Like, you normally need a little bit, but I think he gave off like a creepy enough vibe for that to come across. Maybe not when I was younger and like it totally blindsided me, but now as I rewatch it, you can kind of tell like there's certain things that he does that leaves it's pretty creepy. He's a little bit creepy. And then Buzz going on his journey to save Woody is great as well, because you've seen how far he's come as a character. He really cares about Woody. He really appreciates what he did for him. And he uses all of the things that he learned from Woody from the first movie really in this to help lead the toys in this movie. You literally see this when he meets other Buzz and he just says the line. So, you know, Toy Story hits so many buttons that just really makes it a perfect sequel. It's the best case follow-up to the first and A Bug's Life by far. They even have a little nod in the credits where it's like Heimlich, he's saying that they got a sequel for a Pixar movie, but he didn't tell Flick like what movie it was, and then they end up getting like whacked by Buzz and them walking through the grass. It's great. It's funny. It's also the only sequel that they would make until Toy Story 3 in 2010. Which I think really serves to what they believe how strong their stories are in their own movies. Like, I don't really think that you need the context from the first movie to fully get everything out of the second one. You do miss Buzz's thing, and then you do miss a few callbacks, but I think it's a really good self-contained movie that you can actually get a lot out of if you decide to watch this before the first one. I'm gonna give this entry from Pixar a solid 8 out of 10. Right now it's on the very top of my list. So in the order of movies that we have right now, it's Toy Story 2, Toy Story, and then A Bug's Life. I believe I mentioned in the very first video that Toy Story 2 is my number 3 all-time movie from Pixar, and right now it's still holding. I don't really have WALL-E and Ratatouille that fresh in my mind right now, so it's like, I'm not gonna say it has a higher place on those than me, but I think it's like on par for me for Ratatouille right now. I really need to rewatch Ratatouille, which I'm waiting to do for this series. So don't burn me at the stake for that. Okay? Thank you. This sequel's really beloved, and it's, I think, what a lot of people remember when they think of Toy Story. Even though, you know, the first one's a classic, this one really brought together like and finalize that Pixar formula that would be around just for many years that we see in all the future movies. If you didn't see the Pizza Planet truck, I don't know how you didn't see the Pizza Planet truck. It's the car that the toys drive to get to the airport after Woody gets trapped by Stinky Pete. A113 can be seen on Andy's mom's license plate when they leave for cowboy camp. And the existential dread that we all see in this movie is the dread of being forgotten or abandoned by those that we love. I think that this theme's one of the constant ones in Toy Story, and it feels like the main conflict in all of them, even all the way up to 4, really. This is going to be a little outro that I'm going to start doing at the end of these videos. I'm trying to bring up the production value on these a little bit, but just to talk about a few things. Obviously, I really like Toy Story. Next movie is going to be Monsters, Inc. in the timeline, and yeah, I can't actually wait to get ready for Monsters, Inc. I have a little troubled relationship with it because my brothers watched it like 4,000 times when they were like 2 to 3. So it's a little bit annoying for me to watch it. So I'm going to try not to let that get in the way of my viewing experience of the movie. Also, if you want to check out me during the week, more regularly than these videos, every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, sometimes a swing day on Saturday or Sunday, You can find me streaming at around 6:30 p.m. till like a late time, maybe 10 o'clock, 10:30ish, at my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thevidiot. If you want to look at my other videos, go look for my backlog. My last video was obviously Bug's Life, and then before that was Toy Story, and then before that was an introduction to this video. I also have a bunch of miscellaneous videos prior to this. You know, they're some of it's okay, some of it's kind of trash, but you know, I'm trying. Thank you for watching these, and you guys are all the best. Later.